As the NBA Finals are approaching, the coaching carousel has not stopped across the NBA. With Celtics head assistant Charles Lee already accepting the Charlotte Hornets head coaching job for next season, the Celtics will need to replace at least one assistant head coach. With Sam Cassell getting more and more looks from the Lakers and now the Bucks, could the Celtics need a replacement? Well, Mark Stein comes out and say that Jeff Van Gundy could be that guy to work his way up, and I think that this is a fantastic move for the Boston Celtics. So we're going to be diving in, looking at all those amplifications on this episode of Celtics Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz. Before we dive in on all this news though, 61% of you guys who watch our videos are not subscribed. We appreciate that number going down, but we are less than 20 subscribers from our goal of 4,000. So we'd appreciate it if you guys want to make sure you stay up to date on everything revolving around this team, gearing up for the finals, staying intact throughout the entire finals. This is the place for you. Hit that subscribe button as we try to get our goal. Without further ado though, let's dive into the video at hand. Make sure to grab a snack as it's going to be a jam-packed episode. And like I mentioned in the introduction, Jeff Van Gundy could become an assistant coach here for this Boston Celtics squad, especially with already Charles Lee being out on his way at the end of the season and Sam Cassell getting a bunch of teams interested in him. So first, we're going to be looking at this tweet from Legion Hoops, which gives a report saying the Celtics are exploring the idea of Jeff Gundy joining Joe Mazzulla's coaching staff next season per the Stein line. Now, no offense, I'm not subscribed to the Stein line. Sorry, Mark Stein, but I don't got the money to be paying for that Substack, so I had to go and find this out from some other news outlets, and that's where we found this for here to break down and give it to you guys. Obviously, Jeff Van Gundy could be headed back to the bench with the Boston Celtics. The former Knicks head coach and longtime TV analyst is being considered for an assistant role on Joe Mazzulla's coaching staff for next season, according to veteran NBA reporter Mark Stein on his Substack account. The 62-year-old Van Gundy has been serving as a senior consultant to Boston's team president Brad Stevens since he was let go of ESPN last season. Now, if we want to kind of look at this and dive in on it more, the Celtics, who will open the 2024 NBA Finals at home Thursday against the Mavericks, are losing at least one assistant head coach from Mazzulla's staff. Charles Lee, like I mentioned, was named the new head coach of the Hornets last month. And Brad Stevens had to say that Jeff has been great, said about Van Gundy before the playoffs began. I've been knowing Jeff a long time and have gotten a chance to spend a lot of time with him over the years. It is fun watching a game with him when he doesn't have to speak in 15-second sound bites. He is pretty entertaining. And I have to agree with Brad here. Not going to lie to you guys, the Van Gundy's commentary wasn't my favorite on ESPN. I feel like sometimes they could bash on the Boston Celtics, and as a fan, that's not what I want to see. But have to agree with Brad Stevens here. He has a great basketball mind. He does know what he is talking about from the whole entire basketball stratosphere, and he is a guy that I think could be a great replacement as an assistant head coach. If we want to dive in and look at some more, Van Gundy obviously previously has been a head coach, was with the Knicks from 1995 to 2001, leading them to the NBA Finals in 1998, and in the same role with the Rockets from 2003 to 2007 before making the transition to his broadcasting career. ESPN let go of Van Gundy and fellow longtime analyst Mark Jackson last summer, and the Post reported at a time that this season that Van Gundy was let go because ESPN felt that he could be a head coach or have a coaching job in the NBA. Now, unfortunately for Jeff Van Gundy, it hasn't gone off to the greatest start for him. Obviously, he is kind of a consultant with this Celtics team. That's what he was brought on for. But he is working his way up because now we have the report that he could, seemingly join Joe Mazzulla's coaching staff next season, which we'll get into right here. Why this could be good for the Boston Celtics if a guy like Jeff Van Gundy were to come to this squad. Now, like I mentioned in the introduction and kind of talking about Jeff Van Gundy, he is a great basketball mind. He understands the sport, and he's already been a successful head coach in the NBA, leading the Knicks to the finals. Now, obviously, that is in the 90s and early 2000s. The basketball game has changed dramatically since then. Steph Curry has come into the league. The three-pointer has been an abundance of difference making, but Jeff Van Gundy understands the likes of basketball, understands the likes of Joe Mazzulla, and I think could implement some great things offensively and defensively for this Celtics squad in the future. Like we mentioned, assistant coach Charles Lee has already accepted the head coaching job for the Charlotte Hornets. He will be out his way. He will be gone. So there is a replacement, a spot for Jeff Van Gundy. And as we broke down in previous videos as well, The Boston Celtics have let go of assistant head coaches rapidly through the off seasons. When Ime Udoka was head coach not too long ago, assistants like Will Hardy left to go be the Utah Jazz head coach, which he currently still is residing. A guy in Damian Stoudemire left after he was not given the head coaching job to go coach at Georgia Tech to be the head coach for them in college. He left in the middle of the season, left and just went. Some of the assistants under Ime Udoka after that first year with Joe Mazzulla left and went to Houston to go work alongside of him. So Joe Mazzulla, who was an assistant head coach with this squad already, was, kind of casted and thrown into this head coaching job, did a fantastic job of managing that and keeping control of this team and really building a championship squad and really ultimately unlocking them offensively and defensively, has had a carousel of assistant coaches come through the years, and ultimately, while he has been a part of this coaching staff, has seen an abundance of coaches leaving and going, which is good for Celtics fans as they know that their head coaches are valued and that their assistant head coaches, can turn out to be good head coaches in the NBA, can help developing with programs. We've already seen with Houston and with Utah, now with Ime Udoka and Will Hardy over there, them blossom into some success, and the Celtics obviously as well, alongside Joe Mazzulla. So with bringing people in, it does not scare me with the Boston Celtics. I do think that they can find guys to, bring in to replace Charles Lee, but a guy like Jeff Van Gundy could be that perfect replacement and could be that perfect guy alongside him. We also want to break down how the other assistant head coach in Sam Cassell is also being looked at for the Lakers head coaching job. He obviously had meetings with JJ Redick. The Lakers have had meetings with JJ Redick, James Borrego, Sam Cassell, and even though it seems like JJ Redick and James Borrego, the assistant head coach from the New Orleans Pelicans, are seemingly the two favorites to land with the Los Angeles Lakers, Sam Cassell could still find himself over there. He's a great basketball mind, obviously played in the NBA, played with the Boston Celtics on that championship team, and also had some success as an assistant head coach with the Philadelphia 76ers. So a lot of coaches know him. He's a great basketball mind. A lot of old NBA players or players that had him or people that had him as a coach when he was a player are going to want him on his staff as they know he's a great basketball mind, really knows the intricacies of the NBA. Which also leads to another thing which I saw, which I want to give shout outs to Adam Taylor. If you guys don't follow Adam Taylor already, go check out the Celtics Chronicle. Recently just hit 100 subscribers. We've been blessing him over on the Twitter on Celtics Digest. But I want you guys to go and check him out because he brings some great content revolving around the Boston Celtics here. And when I was, getting my video set up for here, I found some information on Twitter via him. So it's something that I wanted to bring your guys' attention to, which Gary Wolfel, excuse me if I mispronounced your last name, had a tweet revolving around Sam Cassell, saying rumors persist that the Bucks want to hire Celtics assistant coach Sam Cassell. And I'm hearing the Bucks are willing to make him the highest paid assistant coach in the association to get it done. Cassell is 54, played with the Bucks from 1999 to 2003, and played a major role in the Bucks advancing to the 2001 Eastern Conference Finals. If we want to look at this quote tweet from Adam Taylor, that's the reason why I brought him up. He had to speak, saying that Cassell spent 3 years with Doc Rivers during their time in Philadelphia, and if Doc remains as the Bucks head coach, which he is still slated to be, it will be very interesting to see whether Cassell wants to make the move, especially if the C's win a chip this year. And he brings up some valid points. Obviously, if the C's win a chip, do you really want to come off that high of winning a championship and going to another team, a rival team, especially in the Eastern Conference, to go work with a guy who you have good communication with? For sure, it's definitely a smart possibility, but also sticking with this championship squad and maybe working your way up into this head coaching staff as well could be the smart decision for you as well, Sam Cassell. It's ultimately going to rely on what Sam wants to do. Will he want to go back with an old, name, an old head coach in Doc Rivers and go play in Milwaukee if he does stay, or will he like to stay in Boston? Ultimately, it remains as well to see if Doc is going to stay long-term with the Milwaukee Bucks. It's looking like he will as he signed that long-term extension, and I do think that possibility is going to be likely, but it also is a question mark that is still being raised. Will Sam Cassell leave? Will Charles Lee leave? Will that ultimately make it a smart decision for Jeff Van Gundy to come? I think so, and that gets to our last question here. So will it happen? Will it get done? Will the Celtics bring a guy in Jeff Van Gundy as an assistant head coach? If Mark Stein's reporting on it, if the rumblings are coming, I am for sure going to believe it. He's already been a great basketball mind, has been a head coach in the NBA for a plethora of years. Yes, I know that he was a head coach over 10 years ago, but kind of getting into the scene already this year, being, a scout as a, being just a resource in the front office is huge. And then ultimately, I think he's going to work his way into the assistant head coaching staff. Like I mentioned, Charles Lee is gone. We already see in these reports with, Sam Cassell being recruited by the Lakers, now be recruiting by the Bucks. It might be very well that the Celtics, again, win the championship, but lose both assistant coaches to rivaling teams, which ultimately allows the Boston Celtics to have some flexibility, bring some new guys in. Like I mentioned, they brought in Sam Cassell, they brought in Charles Lee. They were fantastic for this team's success. So I will not be shocked if they do leave, that the Celtics will still bring in some talented guys. And I do think that if that's the case, regardless if both of them leave or if it's just Charles, I do think that Jeff Van Gundy will be the number one guy that the Celtics will be targeting to bring in as an assistant head coach. And with him already being with this squad already this season, I think the likely chances of him coming in is very high. I want to say around at 75%, but I want to know what you guys think down below. Drop down your thoughts. Do you guys think that Jeff Van Gundy would be a good piece for the Celtics to add, or do you guys think it would be a little bit of a weird piece? But lastly, before we finish off the video, you guys know we got to get to the comment of the day. Drop down your thoughts down below. Let us know how you guys feel, and you could be featured for the comment of the day. Fortunately, or not unfortunately, but for this person's comment of the day, you might have already gotten a little bit of a sneak peek because I accidentally clicked their image, but I do want to give a shout out to Breezo9375 for being today's comment of the day, dropping a fantastic comment on our massive Kristaps Porziņģis injury update. If you guys missed that video, check it out. But he says he's excited for KP to come back, and I'm excited as well. Breezo, I personally think that he's going to be ready for game one. I already have kind of the reports. He worked with the team 2 days ago, was ready to go, did a full practice with them. Yesterday they ramped up a little bit. There was no media availability, but today we'll probably get some more, confirmation, affirmation that this boy and our guy Kristaps is going to be ready to go for game one, hopefully versus the Dallas Mavericks, and can get his revenge versus Luka Doncic to bring the championship to Boston and willingly win Banner 18. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section revolving around this Jeff Van Gundy signing, possibly coming to the Celtics as an assistant head coach. I think it's a smart move. Let me know what you guys think down below. Like I mentioned, this team is going to be pumping through the finals, and we're going to have abundance of content for you guys. So if you guys are still at this point in the video, check out the videos up at the top. Hit that subscribe button if you're not followed so we can get to our goal of 4,000 subscribers by the end of the playoffs. And come check us out on June 6th for the first watch-along live stream with this team. We'll have a live preview on Wednesday. Make sure to stay tuned for when that gets announced as well. Like I said, I'm Bruce Veliz. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode here on Celtics Digest. I'll catch you guys in the next video, and go Boston Celtics. Peace out, everybody.